Hello Internet, this is JB Squared 61279 with a wrestling review from WWE's Wrestlemania 29, and I'm also going to follow it up with the Raw review from the next day. I'm going to combine the two into one. And first thing I want to do is just note up front that I've been dealing with some family issues lately that have been taking a lot of my time and energy, so this video isn't going to be as in-depth as I wanted it to be. I'm not going to cover a lot of stuff. I'm just going to focus on the main big things that happened. Just because I just don't have time to edit a video of that size, or even make one, film one. So I apologize for that, but do what you got to do. So let's go into WrestleMania here. I'm just going to talk about the three big main events and go over what happened with that and my thoughts on the show in general. So the first big main event it came first in the card, in the lineup, but it should have been higher in my opinion, was The Undertaker versus CM Punk. This match I thought was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was a great match, but it wasn't Undertaker Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania a few years ago quality. But I don't think the Undertaker, because of his age and his injuries, has the ability to put on that caliber of a match anymore. But with what he can do, it was a good match. And Punk, he was working his ass off in the match. He was also very good as a heel in the match. He did a whole lot of taunting the Undertaker, tossing the urn around outside the ring before the match started. He slapped the Undertaker a couple of times, which was great, and then he did Undertaker's move, walking across the ropes. He's got the guy in the arm bar or whatever. That was great to see. I thought that was pretty cool. Poor CM Punk did not break the table when he did the Macho Man elbow off the top rope. Supposedly he injured his leg during that spot when the table did not break, and it certainly looked like he had a leg injury. He was limping around pretty hard towards the end of the match, so I hope it's not too bad, but we'll see. Not much information has been released on that yet. But the match was good. The end of the match was great. There was a really great counter where CM Punk hit the GTS, but he only hit it kind of half-assed, and then Undertaker just bounced off the ropes, came back, boom, right into a tombstone. That was great. And then Punk kicked out of that, which was even better. That was really cool. But in the end, Punk did get the tombstone and planted for the win. 1, 2, 3. Undertaker picked up the win, I should say. So all in all, good match. I did enjoy it. So the next big main event was Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised with this match. This match was better than I expected it to be. These two guys, they beat the shit out of each other in this match. And it was actually entertaining to see. Brock Lesnar did a ton of suplexes to Triple H, and he actually suplexed Triple H through the table, and it broke this time. So that was cool. Then he did it again while the table was in pieces. That was great. And just a bunch of German suplexes, belly-to-belly suplexes, overhead suplexes, things that a lot of wrestlers in WWE don't do anymore nowadays. Brock Lesnar was doing it, and Triple H sold it well, so that was really cool to see. And Brock Lesnar was on his game. He looked like a crazy, psychotic animal, and it was fun. He was so intense and so into it, and it was fun to see that. So Triple H did spend the majority of the match getting his ass handed to him. That was fun to see. Brock brings the ring steps, the steps into the ring, and there was a great spot where he had the arm lock, the Kimura arm lock on Triple H, while he got up onto the top turnbuckle to like brace it for leverage. It looked really cool. It was a good spot. Brock Lesnar was really selling it. Triple H was selling it. And then Triple H turned it into a spine buster from the top rope. Just spun him around, gave him the spine buster. That was cool to see. Then Brock Lesnar, just like the John Cena match where he lost to Cena, had the ring steps that he came in to use on Triple H. that he brought in to use on Triple H, they were used against him. I believe Brock Lesnar brought the steps in for Cena during the Cena match as well. So, yeah, he had Triple H locked in the Kimura lock, and Triple H picked him up and gave him the slam on the steps, broke the hold. Brock Lesnar locks it in again, slam on the steps, breaks the hold, locks it in again, slam on the steps. When this happened, I was getting a little tired of it. It was a little excessive to see it happen. I think it was 4 times they did that same spot. And I was getting a little exhausted with it by the end. So I was happy when they finally decided to be done with doing that. It started out cool, but it lost my interest because it went on for a really long time, like 5 or 6 minutes. They just kept doing the same thing over and over again. So anyway, Triple H eventually hits Brock with the sledge, does the pedigree on the stairs, and gets the 1, 2, 3. So Triple H won, and big surprise, he is not retiring. I didn't see that one coming. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. First of all, when Triple H came out, his entrance, he came out of the little skull thing that they set up for him, and he had this white shit sprayed all over his fucking chest and abdomen. And I don't know about you guys, but I know what it looked like to me. I know what I was thinking. It turns out, though, that it was actually the dry ice or whatever they were shooting out for the intro. He got too close to one of the machines, it got on his stomach, and he got second-degree burns from it. And this was before the match even started, so he wrestled that entire match with second-degree burns. So I give props to Triple H for sucking it up and doing that. That must have hurt a lot. However, that's no excuse for Triple H being so incredibly super tanned for that match. He looked like a dried prune or something. It was weird. He definitely looked very Hulk Hogan-esque. Definitely like he belonged in the Hogan family. Another thing I wanted to point out with this is that Brock Lesnar has lost again. Brock Lesnar has had 3 matches since he's come back to the WWE throughout the course of the last year, and of the 3, he's lost 2 of them. And that's kind of weak. This guy's supposed to be an unstoppable monster, but he's got a 1-2 record, and that's kind of shitty. So I think the WWE is wasting all the money that they are throwing in to Brock Lesnar to keep him around. You know, you got to have him win sometimes to make him legitimate. And considering he has so few dates to wrestle that you purchased, I guess, you got to have him win more than lose to make it mean something. And the one last thing I want to talk about with this match is I was saying in my preview that these guys are both part-time wrestlers, and when WrestleMania is over, they're gonna be gone within a month. But you know what? They didn't even make it to the Raw on the very next night. Neither of the guys showed up. I know Brock Lesnar was scheduled to be there, but the fact of the matter is he wasn't there. And Triple H, Mr. I'm Not Retired, was also not there. So that's great. I guess we're going to see Triple H again next year, taking a spot up on the card away from some young talent so that they don't get the chance to wrestle. We're going to see Triple H in another match at WrestleMania next year. So great. I can't wait. Super duper. So let's move on to this main event, which was very disappointing. I thought this match sucked. I'm going to be honest. I did not care for this match very much. Definitely not as good as the Rock-Cena match from last year. And I'm not just saying that because Cena won. I'm saying that because this match was kind of crap. So here's what went down. The match was, I think, it was between 20 minutes and 30 minutes. I don't remember exactly the time frame. But I do know that for the first half of the match, there was nothing but rest holds. In your main event of the biggest pay-per-view of the year, you're going to spend the first half of the match doing sleepers and some other shit like that, just to suck up time? Really? Come on, WWE. That's bullshit. I was very disappointed with that. And the crowd was dead. First of all, the crowd was a little drained because they did the order of the matches. It was Undertaker, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Triple H, and then this match back to back. So the crowd was a little exhausted. And then when you throw rest holds at them, fuck, man. And you know what came up? You know what cropped up during the middle of this match, at least at the beginning of this match? Some boring chants. That's right. You could hear it. Didn't last long, but it was definitely there, and it sounded like a pretty sizable portion. I mean, you're talking 80,000 people, so how many was it? I can't say for sure, but it was enough to be picked up on TV to hear a boring chant. A boring chant. And the biggest main event of the year, and the biggest pay-per-view of the year for your company, you get a boring chant. I think that's saying something. You know, if you go and watch Ring of Honor, their biggest pay-per-view of the year, or TNA, you watch their biggest pay-per-view of the year, you're not going to hear boring chants during their main events. Their main events are awesome. They're great. Both of them this year, both of them last year were spectacular. But WWE, their main event for WrestleMania, boring. It was fucking boring. And then, about halfway through the match, it's like a switch was flipped, and they just went right into finisher mode. And yeah, that made the match more exciting because you were going to see the finishers, but there was no build-up to it. It was like sleeper, 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 sleeper. Ah, I'm almost asleep. Oh, finisher. And then they just kept doing it back and forth. And that was fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's great to see a false finish, you know, kicking out of a move that would normally pin somebody. That's great. I love that. It amps up the tension and the excitement. Good to see. But there's something to be said, and it's not a good something, when you got your two top talents in your company, one of which is only a part-time wrestler, and they spend 10 minutes, a good 10 minutes, just trying to do the same four moves to each other over and over and over and over and over and over again. It was getting old by the end. I was sitting there thinking, what am I watching? This isn't professional wrestling. This is fucking stupid. It was rock bottom, fireman's carry. That's right. I'm not even calling it the FU anymore. It's not the AA. It's not the FU. It's fucking fireman's carry, because that's what John Cena does. And people's elbow and the five-knuckle shuffle. So they were just trying to do each other's moves back and forth to each other and hit their own moves, those same four moves constantly for like 10 minutes. I was just waiting for something new to happen. They just did it to the point of exhaustion, and then they did it even more. And I was just tired of it by the end. It was stupid. It was fucking dumb. And then John Cena finally hit the very last fireman's carry and got the pin. 1, 2, 3. Cena wins. Everybody in the world saw it coming. Everybody in the world knew it was going to happen. And the match was just a big disappointment. But I loved how Cena... Well, first, let me talk about this. Let me talk about the crowd reaction. It was almost like the crowd was stunned at the end. Like they were kind of in shock that Cena just won this match, which they should have seen it coming. Maybe they were hoping that something else was going to happen. But I tell you what really was stupid. What really pissed me off was when The Rock, they got up and they started handshaking each other. Fucking handshakes and hand jobs were all around for everybody. And then they get up on the ramp at the end and they salute each other. Really? Rock? You're going to salute John Cena? Really? Come on. That is just stupid. That was so frustrating. And a lot of people were saying at the end of WrestleMania last year that was going to be the ultimate outcome. That at the end, Cena was going to win this rematch and they were going to shake hands. And I was afraid that was going to happen too. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't even really want to talk about it. But yeah, that's what happened. It sucked. It was so fucking stupid. So John Cena's the champion again. But after he won, he had to get the hell out of the ring and they had to play The Rock's music to keep people from fucking storming the ring and, attacking and beating the shit out of John Cena. It was really disappointing. So anyway, let's do WrestleMania, the event overall. Production values were high. They're always high, especially for WrestleMania from WWE. It's the one thing that keeps the WWE being more getting more viewership than TNA or Ring of Honor is the production value. That's the one thing that keeps people coming. You know, it keeps the everyday person coming, and they don't know any better. You know, it looks shiny, it looks cool, so they pay the money for it. They shell out the $70 to watch it on TV, or like the $300 to go to the fucking event in person. And then when they're there, it's not that great, but it's too late. You already paid for it. So it's kind of like a Microsoft product like that. It looks shiny and cool until you buy it and you realize it kind of sucks. So the event had high production value. Fireworks everywhere. The stage was really cool. The Brooklyn Bridge and the Statue of Liberty. And some of the entrances were really neat, especially for the CM Punk Undertaker match. They were really cool. But overall, this WrestleMania was not very good. It was extremely predictable, and the end of the show really soured the entire event. It was kind of, it really sucked. And it really brought the event down, in my opinion. I did not spend money on this. I am glad I did not spend money on this, and I feel bad for anybody that did spend money on WrestleMania this year. Because I wouldn't even put this in, like, the top 5 WrestleManias. I wouldn't even put this in probably the top 10 WrestleManias. It just wasn't that great. Aside from the Undertaker CM Punk match, and I liked the Shield match as well, and also the Triple H Brock Lesnar match was actually better. But they weren't. None of them were stellar, spectacular matches, except for CM Punk Undertaker. And like I said in my preview, $70 for one match, not worth it. Okay, so that's WrestleMania. Let's move on to Raw the next night. And I'm not really going to cover a whole lot of what happened. I'm just going to go over some of the big topics that people are talking about. First off, let's just get the crowd out of the way. And this is a good thing. The crowd was awesome at Raw. They were... It was like the kind of crowd that the WWE hates, because everything the WWE is trying to shove down people's throats, this crowd was turning it around and just doing all kinds of crazy, goofy shit. And it was awesome. John Cena came out at the beginning of the show, and they booed the shit out of him. They were fucking pissed at him. Non-stop boos, same old shit chants. And then he's like... And I think, were they chanting, "Fuck you, Cena"? I don't remember. But then John Cena, he does the same old thing where, like, he puts on his shit-eating grin and he kind of makes fun of the fact that they're making fun of him. But, it's the fans trying to tell the company that they're tired of the same old bullshit. They're just tired of it. And Cena just, like, gives him the finger and says, "Fuck you," every time. And then he really did it when he did his stupid little... He said... I don't know, he was like, "I'm going to turn heel." And then he went, and he like, did his little heel twist in the middle of the ring. Oh my god, I hated that. The only thing that kept me from completely flipping out at that point was that the crowd was just booing the shit out of him. And that was great to see. And guess what? Another John Cena appearance, another boring chant. Also awesome to see. Now, I know that this crowd was especially unique. Normal Raw crowds are not like this, but last week's Raw, WrestleMania, and now this week's Raw, 3 big appearances in a row, boring chants for each one. And that's great to see. That's what people need to do. I said it last week. More boring chants for John Cena. WWE can't edit that out. There's no comeback from the people that actually like Cena, the 9-year-olds, the 10-year-olds. You can't go, "Let's go Cena," to a boring chant. So every time he's on TV, more boring chants. That's what you got to do. Tell a friend of a friend of a friend. Hopefully somebody's going to one of the shows and they can sit there and chant boring and get a chant started. That's what you got to do. Eventually, the WWE will have to take notice. Because if somebody's at home watching TV, they turn this on and they hear people chanting boring in the background, they'll be like, "I don't watch this fucking guy," and they'll turn it off. And then their ratings will take a dive. And then maybe they'll get rid of John Cena. Or change his character at least a little bit. I'm not asking for much. Most people aren't. They just want something to change with John Cena. So the crowd was epic last night. Especially during the Randy Orton Sheamus match. They were chanting all kinds of goofy, crazy shit because they didn't want to see these guys wrestle. So they just made up their own entertainment to make the match fun for themselves. And that was great to see. Okay, so now let's talk about this stuff going on with The Rock. The Rock was supposed to appear last night, or The Rock was supposed to appear on Raw, and he did not show up. And there's still rumors flying around about what has really happened. Now, the official story is that The Rock tore his ab muscles right off the bone at WrestleMania at one point. And he must have finished the match with his abs like dangling off of his bones. I didn't see that at any point. He didn't look injured at any point, so I don't know. So it just seems a little fishy to me because the original story was that The Rock was pissed that he had to lose at WrestleMania and then come out and take a beating by Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar was supposed to come out on Raw and beat the shit out of The Rock to possibly set up a potential match at WrestleMania 30 for next year. And the WWE didn't even know that The Rock wasn't going to be there till like late in the afternoon. He didn't tell anybody that he wasn't coming, even though he supposedly got injured at WrestleMania the night before. So there's still rumors going around as to what really happened because there's no like pictures that have been released or anything like that. No hospital facts, no facts like that to support that he's been injured other than The Rock saying that, hey, I'm injured. So it's a little strange. I think The Rock just got pissed off, possibly, and yeah, just said, I'm out of here. And then the WWE had to come up with something real fast before the show started on Raw last night. So what's really going on with that, I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the coming days or weeks here. But I felt like I needed to point that out. So let's also talk about the end of Raw. The end of Raw with John Cena versus Mark Henry. So you bring out Mark Henry after your big main event, your biggest pay-per-view of the year. The next night on Raw, the main event is Mark Henry versus John Cena. Really? Come on. I've seen that match so many times over the years, and now that's the match you're gonna have again the night after your big pay-per-view. And let's talk about, oh man, this is great too. Let's talk about your three big main events. That's 6 superstars, okay? Let's count how many of them were actually on Raw last night. Not The Rock, not Triple H, not Brock Lesnar, not CM Punk. So you had John Cena and The Undertaker. And hell, The Undertaker might not have even been there if any of the other guys were able to show up. So that's fucking stupid. I mean, come on. That's just bad business practice, in my opinion. How are you supposed to retain any of the viewership from WrestleMania if all your top draws, or 4 out of your 6 top draws, are gone the next night? Come on. So your main event's Mark Henry versus John Cena, and I don't even care. I don't even care about the match or what happened in it. It's all about the ending. Mark Henry gets counted out, which is lame, lame, lame. And then, he slams Cena at the end, and, okay, seen it before, not really excited about what's coming up, but then Ryback comes out, and he beats it, or he does the shell-shocked to Mark Henry, which is cool to see because Mark Henry's such a big guy, and Ryback's a roided-out freak. So then he goes over to help out John Cena, and then Ryback, just goes fucking goofy, weird apeshit. He just starts going, oh, feed me more, and just out of nowhere, he just starts doing it, and John Cena's like, what are you doing? And then he just fucking picks him up, and he gives him the shell shock. There's the clothesline, too, I think. And it just came so out of nowhere, and it's great to see Ryback go after John Cena. That was fun to see, but seriously, does anybody think that if these two have a match that Ryback's going to win? Absolutely not. Come on. John Cena's not going to lose to Ryback. John Cena doesn't fucking lose to anybody, at least not clean, which means Ryback's going to lose again. This guy whose gimmick a short while ago was being completely unbeaten and unstoppable, he hasn't won a big match in like 4 months. So, sorry about your luck, Ryback. You are about to get fed to John Cena. It happened at the Royal Rumble, and it's going to happen again, looks like, at the next pay-per-view. So, yeah, sorry about your luck. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is the big thing that happened, the big good thing that happened on Raw, which was Dolph Ziggler cashing in the Money in the Bank finally after all this time. It didn't happen at WrestleMania, and a lot of people were disappointed. But looking back on it now, I'm happy it didn't, because this Raw crowd, this location, was definitely the better spot to cash it in. He came out, well, before he even came out, during the Swagger Del Rio match, that's all people were chanting were, "We want Ziggler. Let's go Ziggler." And then when he came out at the end of that match, after Del Rio had been injured, his ankle was injured by Swagger, the crowd fucking exploded. The arena just blew up. He came out, everybody knew it was coming. They could sense it, you could see it in his face. He came right in there, cashed it in. They announced it. The crowd erupted. The bell rang. The crowd erupted some more. He hit the famouser. The crowd erupted. 1, 2. Del Rio kicks out. And people are like, oh, no. Don't tell me they're going to fuck over Dolph Ziggler for his cash-in. And I was honestly afraid that was going to happen. And then when he got in the cross arm breaker, when Del Rio had him locked in the cross arm breaker, I was like, no, man, don't do this. Please don't do this. And I know that there were a ton of people thinking that. There had to have been. But it was a cool spot where he attacked the injured ankle from the earlier match and broke out of the hold and then went and hit the zigzag. 1, 2, 3. Dolph Ziggler, new World Heavyweight Champion. New World Heavyweight Champion. Just 24 hours ago, nobody gave a shit about the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that's the big thing that everybody's talking about. Dolph Ziggler finally has the spotlight on him. He's finally going to be in that main event status. And that's great. I love that. I'm very excited. I watched it. I went back and watched it like 4 times, just that segment, because it was so awesome to see. I'm such a huge Ziggler fan, and to see him finally get his due is awesome. But let's talk about why I'm a little bit afraid now. Because Dolph Ziggler's a heel. And I'm assuming he's going to stay a heel because he's a good heel. And the crowd can cheer the shit out of him when he's a heel, and that's fine. Run with that for a while. Except WWE has this big tendency of making their heels pussies. CM Punk was a chicken shit heel. And Del Rio was a chicken shit heel back when he was a heel. So do I think the same thing's going to happen with Ziggler? I hate to say it, but yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to make him a wussy, sissy heel. And he's going to run away from all the fights, and he's just going to be eking out victories at pay-per-views, but he's going to lose every other match except for when the belt's on the line. And that's going to be disappointing because Ziggler is so much better than that. He doesn't get a lot of mic time on Raw, but go watch his appearances on Zack Ryder's YouTube show back when he had it. Check out the old episodes. He was so great on there. I feel like they could really do a lot with his character if they keep him a strong, sort of in-your-face, he's really good at what he does, and he likes to showcase that. He likes to show it off. Let him keep that style. Don't turn him into a wuss. That would be so disappointing. But at least he's got the title now. At least we got that. Hopefully the WWE doesn't fuck it up. I'm afraid that they're going to. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But that was a really cool moment. So if you're going to watch any part of Raw, well, certain parts were made great by the crowd. So overall, this Raw was an okay Raw that was elevated because of the crowd. And then there was one segment that you need to see, and it was Del Rio winning the World Championship. That was great. Everything else was okay, but to see the crowd just tear apart everything the WWE tried to shove at them was pretty funny. Okay, this has been JB Squared 61279 with a wrestling review, and I'll be back next week.